This is k.brackett, and we're going to talk today about motor development. We've got some different slides to get through, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. What is gross motor? It actually means it involves the large muscles of your neck, trunk, and legs and arms. It starts from when you start lifting your head, and it goes to rolling, and then crawling, and then creeping, running, leaping, and then eventually hopping. Gross motor also includes what we call strength and endurance. The way that gross motor develops is it starts from the head, and it goes to the foot. It starts from the spine out to the fingers, and it goes all kinds of mass to specific. And if you look close here, we've got a little baby, and he's laying on his back, and that's when they start developing curiosity for their hands and feet, and they do these jerky movements. But the time they're 6 months old, then they're sitting up, and they're starting to crawl actually. 6 months, and it says 9 months in the picture, but they start to crawl around 6 months. And at 12 months, they're starting to stand, and 13 months, they actually can start to really run and everything like that. And by 18 months, they are a walking human being that usually doesn't fall, but, you know, toddlers, sometimes they still have a little bit of problems with balance. And the way that we can produce some large motor opportunities is to make our living space as safe and free of obstacles as we can, because they like to run back and forth through our house. So this is the time that you need to really start putting padding on your tables and your sharp corners that you have in your houses, and you need to be careful of the doors to make sure the little fingers don't get stuck in there and get severed or hurt by getting their finger closed in the door. What you want to do is encourage them to move, encourage them to explore, and you also can provide opportunities, and that's kind of what this picture is for. You're providing opportunities, which is like taking them to a playground, taking them to McDonald's where they have a playland there, taking them to all kinds of things that they can explore and move their bodies and really have a good time. Little kids love to explore and use their large muscles. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of small motor development and how fine motor skills develop. They start from big to little. So you start making, first we scribble, so we start making really, really big, jerky kind of movements, kind of like you did with your large motor, and eventually lines appear, and the lines begin to take shape, and pretty soon you start looking at their drawings and you kind of understand what they are making. Play-Doh is really good to use for fine motor. It strengthens your fingers, and it also isn't something that you feel like you are strictly focused in on having to produce something. Sometimes you can just squeeze Play-Doh or, form it into different shapes that really don't matter, and you're still using your fine muscles. And clay has a place in an early childhood education program because clay is a little bit stiffer and it's harder to move, but it also gives you more opportunity to be able to sculpt and do something different than just the normal Play-Doh. So fine motor is more than drawing. You've got your eye-hand coordination and your visual motor and your handedness. So eye-hand coordination is just when I put my hand out like to touch the eye-hand coordination, then I'm pretty good at that because I have eye-hand coordination. Visual motor is just when we use our eyes to look back and forth at things, and we follow things with our eyes. And handedness is just basically your left-handedness or your right-handedness, or ambidextrous, which is if you're both-handed, and around 3 or 4 is when a child really starts preferring one hand to the other, and you should never, ever discourage the use of one hand. If they want to use that hand to do something, then you let them do it. And when we're talking about intervention, the early the earlier you can catch motor development, the better. And you have to remember that you have to keep practicing, keep having perseverance, because it's going to take these little ones a little bit longer to learn things. And so you have to encourage perseverance with them to try to do things that's hard to do for them. Some large motor activities to try is duck, duck, goose, and that's when we all sit in a circle, and somebody is the ducker, and they hit somebody's head, and they say duck, duck, and when they call goose, then that person who is the goose has to follow them around, and whoever gets to the open spot gets to sit down, and then the next person becomes the ducker. You need to have open-ended activities for large motor, just kind of put things out there and see what the kids want to play with and how they're going to play with them. You can use a parachute, which is a large nylon circle, and you can do things where, like, the kids run in a circle, or they